Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Indeed, all praises for Allah. We praise Him, seek His assistance, and seek His forgiveness. We seek refuge in Allah from the evil promptings of our souls and from our evil actions. Whosoever Allah guides, none can misguide. And whosoever Allah leaves astray, none can guide aright. I testify that none have the right to be worshipped except Allah alone, having no partner. And I testify that Muhammad, may Allah exalt his mention, is his slave and his messenger. Inshallah, we are going to take some important rules concerning Allah's beautiful names and attributes. Now we are going to take items in order to know the title or the lesson. We are going to talk about how to be monotheistic by Allah names and attributes. In Arabic, توحيد الله جل وعلا بأسمائه وصفاته. توحيد الله جل وعلا، توحيد الله بأسمائه وصفاته. I'll try to let you understand a bit before in details discussing. Allah Jalla wa'ala, from His names, is the most merciful. So I have to be merciful. Because He is merciful, I have to be so kind with others. I have to be merciful not only with my kids, not only with my parents, not only with my family. I should be so with everything I'm dealing with. Everything comes in contact with me needs mercy. I should practice this mercy. So when doing that, I am taking from Allah mercy and behave by. So how to be monotheistic? By practicing Allah names and attributes to prove through that you are worship Allah by. You understand? That is why I'm trying one by one, because you should understand that. Because this is the only point that is going to change your behavior. Most of us have knowledge. Most of us may be even pious. Most of us are praying and fasting and sharing. But little are practicing what they gain, knowledge about Allah, practicing it to reach the picture Allah likes you to be as. Allah Jalla wa'ala declare Himself and make Himself very prominent to the extent we aren't at all in need to see Him. We aren't in need to see Him. He is present everywhere with His mercy, with His knowledge, with His grace. Everything around us is declaring that He is created by Allah, that He is from Allah mercy. That is Allah mercy to let us all gain that thing. Starting from yourself, to have your all things in yourself concerning all senses you have, all feelings, all even internal emotions, all this from Allah. Mercy between mom and her kid is from Allah. Mercy to see a poor weak animal just now delivered from his mom, and you are very afraid he may be killed or he may be attacked, and it is not at all your business to do that, but you are afraid about these emotions are from Allah. This is totally from Allah. So to know about Allah names and attributes is considered the most honorable thing a person can gain. And monotheism has many gates to enter through. Knowledge about Allah, His names, His attributes, His deeds is the greatest gate to monotheism. The greatest gate for Tawheed is knowledge about Allah and His names and attributes. Because you are going to realize many things. You don't know it. You don't know it. You will never feel any kind of boring sensation, of alert sensation, of anxious to reach something you cannot reach, of nervous attitude that you don't gain that, or you will never ever even try to think, what am I going to do? I have no money. How I'm going to eat? How I'm going to go to my work? How I'm going to arrange all my things? I have nothing. I have been stolen. What can I do now? Nonsense. Nonsense. Because you are going to reflect that you have been stolen. It is Allah deed. It is not the thief deed. It is not the thief who has stolen you to let you be in misery. We are thinking, I'm sorry, foolishly, that the thief has stolen me. And now I have no money. My bag have been lost. All the keys are inside this bag. All my IDs are there. My passport, it's okay. Maybe it is a bit difficult thing, but it is Allah deed. So don't be worried. Go here and there, ask that and that, fetch about all whom you know, and you are leaving your Lord. Don't asking. He is testing you to check your sincerity. Allah Jalla wa Ala is checking our sincerity by testing us. By testing us. And in order to know that, as I told you before, there is 2 or 3 important verses telling you the whole story. Let me bring it first. It is in Al-Imran 179. Al-Imran 179. The whole story is discussed in that verse. All of us see the full story. All of us declare that we are loving Allah, we are praying, we are sharing, we are doing everything, and really, I love Allah and I'm ready to do everything. Talk is very easy. To talk is very easy. But see, Allah is discussing everything in that verse. ما كان الله ليذر المؤمنين على ما أنتم عليه حتى يميز الخبيث من الطيب. This is number 1. It is impossible that Allah is going to leave everybody talk without differentiating. He should differentiate bad from good. So, ما كان الله ليذر. It is impossible. Allah is going to leave everybody talk and consider himself a mu'min, not a Muslim, a good Muslim, without differentiating. He should differentiate good from bad. Bad to the extent to be wicked. Wicked means from his heart. He should differentiate. Okay, this is number one. ما كان الله ليذر المؤمنين على ما أنتم عليه حتى يميز الخبيث من الطيب. And number two, Allah is not going to tell you the unseen. Number two, Allah is not going to let anybody know the future. He is not going to tell you, oh, this group for paradise, that group for hellfire. Never. We don't know about future. We don't know about future. Now Allah, number one, Allah wants to differentiate wicked from good. He is not going to say that group for paradise, that group for hellfire. ما كان الله ليطلعكم على الغيب. Allah is not going to let you know the unseen. ولكن الله يجتبي من رسله من يشاء. But Allah is choosing certain group to be prophets and messengers. See the steps of the verse. In one verse, everything is told to us, and we are reading and not focusing. But now Allah will never leave us to be intermingled together, wicked and good. He should differentiate. And at the same time, He's not going to tell us about the unseen. Nobody knows the unseen. ما كان الله ليطلعكم على الغيب. But what Allah did, He has chosen the best group of that nation, and He makes him a prophet or a messenger. And He's choose according to His will. من يشاء. What He wants, He has chosen. That choose is according to His mercy, His knowledge, His wisdom. And full wisdom and full knowledge that this messenger is the best of his group. Okay? So what to do? Aminu. As I told you before, taqrir followed by taklif. Allah told you after telling do. After telling the fact, do. The order comes. What is the order? Aminu. See? Aminu. آمنوا بالله ورسوله or ورسله فآمنوا بالله ورسله فآمنوا بالله ورسله. So again, Allah never ever leave everybody intermingled together and all are called Muslims or mu'min. He should differentiate. Because surely, as you remember Surah Al-Hadid, أَلَمْ نَكُنْ مَعَكُمْ. So the hypocrites are with us. With us. And take care. 4 characters are for the hypocritic. If you have one of them, be cautious. If you are promise and not fulfill, this is one of their characters. If you are in your anger aggressive, you are one of them. So collective characters of hypocritics will be pure hypocritic, and he will never ever leave the hellfire. So the issue is terrible. You have to know. So Allah, after telling the issue that Allah will never ever leave believers with non-believers intermingled at all, He should distinguish wicked from good. And Allah is not going to tell you the unseen future, that is going to the hellfire, that is going to the paradise. So what should we do? I should think nicely about Allah, the so-called husn al-dhann billah. I should say, inshallah, you'll enter the Jannah. Husn al-dhann billah. I will not say, surely Allah is going to let me be in hellfire. No, I should think nicely about Allah. If you are thinking nicely about Allah, okay, do it. Okay, do it. Behave properly. If you behave properly, surely you are going by your righteous deeds to enter the paradise. Finish the issue. The equation finished. It is like an equation. Allah will never ever leave us intermingled. So we have to be tested in order to be distinguished, good from wicked. And Allah is not going to tell you in the future that you are going to hellfire or you are going to paradise. Then what is your role? Good thinking about Allah. Husn dhann billah. If I am good, Allah inshallah will let me be in the paradise. Why not? Allah is not challenging any, because we are slaves and He is the king. So He is not at all challenging any. He hope all of His slaves enter the paradise. He is making paradise by Himself in order to let all His slaves come there. But we are insisting not to go. We are as arrogant as that, as headless as that, as careless as that, as cruel as that. The problem is not at all in our Lord. The problem is in our hearts. These hearts don't know about her Lord properly. If our hearts know about her Lord, really, believe me, after real practice, you will be ashamed. You will be ashamed even in your private things, that you are doing any private issue and you are seen by your Lord. So you have to say sorry. Please, sorry. Can you imagine something very private that you are practicing pleasure and you are honored because you are using this pleasure in halal? You are taking ajr. You are taking your pleasure and you are taking your ajr. Can you imagine Allah mercy? Can you imagine Allah mercy? The wife and the husband together, because they are practicing halal, Allah is rewarding them. They are gaining pleasure and Allah is rewarding them. They should be ashamed not to thank Him. We are really headless. We are really headless. Really, we don't know about our Lord. We are really knowing nothing about His mercy. He isn't in need of us. Can you imagine? He is Al-Wadud. Al-Wadud. You know in Arabic what is Al-Wadud? The typical meaning of Al-Wadud, to tell, please love me. And I come near to you. I want you to imagine. I come near to your shoulder and then going here and there with my hand softly and kindly saying, please love me. Typically, this is the name of Al-Wadud. That I am asking your love, despite He is الغني. يتودد لعباده لكي يحبوه. He is asking His slave love for the slave to take ajr. Not because he is in need of that love. He can change all creatures. But in order to give that slave ajr. He wants the slave to love his Lord in order to give him to give him ajr, in order to reward him. He isn't in need of our love. He can change the whole universe and bringing another. But he wants you to know the proper way in order to go and taste his paradise. See his mercy? See his mercy? Can you imagine that the whole kinds of mercy, any kind of mercy, mom and her kids, every creature, an animal with his kid, mom with her kids, any bird with his kid, even any kind of insects with her kids. You surely know the relation between a mom and a kid, and the relation between you and other than your kids whom you love. All kinds of mercy represent 1% of the mercy. It represents 1% of the mercy, and his 99% he's keeping up for his beloved slaves, to let them enjoy his paradise. And that is why in Surah Ali Imran, Allah is saying, فَمَنْ زُحْزِحَ عَنِ النَّارِ وَأُدْخِلَ الْجَنَّةَ فَقَدْ فَازَ. See in Surah Ali Imran, see, I want Al Imran 185. See in Al Imran, Allah is saying, كل نفس ذائقة الموت. Surely we are going to die. See, you have to taste these words, sisters. See, كل نفس ذائقة الموت. Everybody should taste. You know the meaning of taste? So, death has a bitter taste. It has a taste, and each one is going to taste it. And Allah is saying, وَإِنَّمَا تُوَفَّوْنَ أُجُورَكُمْ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. On day of judgment, you are just paying your wages in full. You are not going to be decreased a minute portion from your ajr. And then, what is the end result? فَمَنْ زُحْزِحَ عَنِ النَّارِ وَأُدْخِلَ الْجَنَّةَ فَقَدْ فَازَ. I want you to understand this very meticulously, that everybody, if Allah Jalla wa Ala is treat everybody without Allah mercy, should enter hellfire, should taste his fire, should taste hellfire, should taste. And I'll see you how. Everybody is going to taste death. So it has a taste. And Allah Jalla wa Ala on Day of Judgment is just weighing your deeds. So everybody is waiting what is his fate will be. And they are in terror. Because if we are left to Allah, justice, not mercy, justice, everybody has his bad deeds. Everybody has his bad deeds. Has his corrupted heart, even in one day, even at one moment. Who is not thinking for 100 times or more to kill somebody because he is totally irritating him? Nearly all of us. Nearly all of us. Sometimes you are attacked aggressively and you don't know what to do, but from your inside you hope to kill that person in front of you, right? Most of us, or all of us nearly. So if we are treated by Allah justice, we should all at least touch or taste hellfire. That's why he is keeping 99% of his mercy to these situations. Understand? 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 And then what is he saying? فَمَنْ زُحْزِحَ. See, I want you to imagine this زُحْزِحَ. The word زُحْزِحَ. The word زُحْزِحَ, see, as if you have a very heavy, big stone and you want to push it. So you are collecting your full strength with full desire to push and you are unable. This is the typical meaning of zuhziha. Pushing hardly. Zuhziha means pushing hardly. You can or you cannot. See, Allah Jalla wa Ala is saying what? فَمَنْ زُحْزِحَ عَنِ النَّارِ وَأُدْخِلَ الْجَنَّةِ. As if it is very difficult. As if it is very difficult. If you imagine the meaning of zuhziha, very heavy stone you want to push even for millimeters, not centimeters. Minute distance. But this minute distance will differ. It will let him be paradise dwellers and not hellfire dwellers. So that thing is really successful job, is really successful fate, is really needed aim. And that's why he said, وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا مَتَاعُ الْغَرُورِ. That's why he's saying, actually this whole world is just a smile, is just a laugh, is just something gained and finished. Just nothing. متاع. And that متاع is full delusion. And also the word متاع, means not yours. متاع means not yours. I borrow you. I give it to you for a distance, for a certain time. You should return it back to me. It's not yours. And we are holding and thinking and trying to stay as much as possible in that dunya, which is mata'. It is mata', not ours. We are here for one mission, to worship Allah, because He said that وَإِنَّمَا تُوَفَّوْنَ أُجُورَكُمْ. He's just going to weigh your deeds. فَمَنْ زُحْزِحَ عَنِ النَّارِ وَأُدْخِلَ الْجَنَّةِ فَقَدْ فَازَ. He really gained that one who was able to be pushed for microns, not even millimeters, microns of distance. Because that differs, not to be a hellfire dweller, to be a paradise dweller. Not important which grade, but he is a dweller of the paradise, not hellfire. So again comes the beginning title, which is, what is the wisdom from knowledge about Allah's names and attributes? It is the most honorable science to be studied. It is the greatest gate to monotheism. It is the highest ranked science to reach or knowledge to gain. It is not only the high ranked, it is the best, it is the greatest, it is the most ordered or asked to be known. Why? Because you are studying about Allah, and the owner of anything is from the owner of the whom are you studying. I mean, to gain honor is from the subject you are talking about, and you are talking about Allah Jalla wa Ala, the highest thing to be asked and came to know about. Understand? So being honorable subject, the being honorable Lord, the highest, the king of all, the creator, the almighty. So you are studying about that. So it is the most honorable knowledge you are talking about or gaining or knowing. And as we have said that Iman by Allah and His names and His attributes and His deeds is the limestone of the whole deen. And when that root is strong, it can carry the whole structure, which is the deen. And if something happened in that deen, it can be cured because the base and the root is stable. And the root is knowing about your Lord, knowing about His names, His deeds, His attributes. So you are trusting, so you are calling, so you are hoping, so you are fearing. You are only dealing with one Lord, none but Him to be asked, none but Him to be feared, none but Him is your reliance, for none but Him is going to answer and going to give and going to provide and going to support. So the most strong building you can build for yourself, which is the proper deen, depends on two things, two important issues. The first is proper knowledge about Allah, His names, His deeds, His attributes, and be monotheistic accordingly. And number two, to work or to behave as a slave, totally submitted to Him, totally obeying Him, totally accepting His orders, accepting what Prophet Muhammad, may Allah exalt his mention, told us to take and prevent us not to do. So, two important lines should be together in order to be a proper slave, in order to be a monotheistic achieving. To achieve monotheism, number one, full knowledge about Allah, His names, His attributes, His deeds, and be monotheistic by. To be monotheistic for Allah names, attributes, deeds. And number two, being monotheistic, you should behave as a slave. You should be totally submitted to these orders. Totally submitted and happy to be a slave for that Lord. Happy. We are happy for Him. 1 and 2 are one. I mean, knowledge about Allah and being monotheistic in that knowledge. And number two, full submission to Allah Jalla wa Ala. I mean, behave as a slave. So, number one, I am monotheistic to my Lord, whom I came to know His names, His attributes, His deeds. And number two, to be fully submitted, to be a slave for Him. These are the two items which is considered the limestone and the roots of your full deen or Islam. Now, this was the first item. What is the importance of knowledge about Allah's most beautiful names and the importance? What is the importance to know that? This is the first item. And then the second item is that all Allah's most beautiful names and attributes are most beautiful. كل أسماء الله وصفاته الحسنى. So comes the second item. So again, the first item we have finished already. We have finished that item, which is ما حكم العلم عن الله وأسمائه وصفاته وأفعاله. Should I know or not? What is the situation concerning knowledge about Allah? It is mandatory. It is mandatory. It is mandatory for everybody at every stage, at any age, for any sex, for whole time. Again, should I know accurately about Allah, His names, His attributes, His... Yes, it is mandatory for every slave, whether male or female, whether young or old, now and forever, the whole life till death. I should all the time gaining more knowledge about my Lord, gaining more knowledge about my Lord. So this is the first item. ما حكم العلم عن الله? Should I know it just lightly or mandatory. You should know, because you cannot worship him without knowing him. How to worship him perfectly and you don't know him? If I ask anybody, Allah is the most merciful. It's okay. He is also the most to punish. Why only the most merciful? And he is the greatest and the almighty and the only to punish. So I have to know about my Lord in order to know how to worship him. I will never be able to worship him correctly and perfectly without proper knowledge about him. Understand? So comes the second question, which is Asma'ullah, the second item, which is all Allah names. The first question is, should I know about Allah names and attributes? Yes, it is mandatory. Becomes the second item. Asma'ullah wa sifatihi kulluha husna. All Allah Jalla wa Ala names and attributes are the most beautiful. Why? Because of three things. All indicates al-Gamal, al-Jalal, al-Kamal. All contains these three items. All are most beautiful, all are most honorable, all are perfect, intact from any defect. All contains beauty, honor, perfection. So all his names are praising. And all are glorifying and honoring, honorable. They are telling about how Allah Jalla wa Ala is the most honorable, the high ranked, the most beautiful. And all his names contains mercy, because he himself is characterized by these three things: al-Jamal, al-Jalal, al-Kamal. He himself, his own essence, is characterized by beauty, by glory, by perfection. So we cannot describe him, but with the most honorable names, the most honorable attributes, the high-ranked names, the most honorable attributes and deeds. He never ever do but honorable, merciful, most beautiful deeds, because his attributes are that. Then comes the third item. What about the number of his names? What about the numbers of his names? Adad Asma'illah. All of you know that many are oriented by the hadith of 99 names. So what about it? ما عدد أسماء الله الحسنى. We are going to say that his names are uncountable. They are uncountable. Nobody can count. And there is no fixed number for them. And nobody can be oriented how great, how much these names are. And that's why Allah Jalla wa Ala called us to know His names and to worship Him by, and to call Him by, and to be monotheistic by. See how many? All Allah names are most beautiful. So He ordered us, while doing supplication, to ask Him to do supplication through these names, and to worship Him, His Almighty, through or by, and to call Him by these names, and to be monotheistic by these names. And concerning Allah names, there are 3 portions. Concerning Allah names, 3 divisions, 3 أقسام. These Allah names are divided into 3 groups. The first group, ما استأثر الله بعلمه. See the first? Only Allah knows. ما استأثر الله جل وعلا بعلمه. The first group, nobody knows but Allah. So the names of Allah Jalla wa Ala are divided into 3 groups. The first group, nobody knows but Allah. استأثر بعلمه means He know it all fully. Only Allah knows that, this group. So He didn't tell any of His creatures about. And the second group, ما علمه أحد من خلقه. The second group, He taught it to some of His creatures. And He didn't bring it in His book. See, the second group, He let some know, but He didn't mention these names in His book, Quran. Again, the first group, nobody knows. None of His creatures knows about these names. Only Allah knows. This is the word ista'thara. Ista'thara means He know it all alone. The word ista'thara, He took it all for Himself. So the first group, Allah take it all for His knowledge. Nobody, He didn't tell any about them. The second group, علمه أحد من خلقه. He teach it to some of His creatures, but He didn't write it or mention it in His book. That's why it is said ولم ينزل في كتابه. So it is not mentioned in His book. So He taught some of His creatures, but He didn't mention it in His book. This is the second category. The third category, علمه بينه في كتابه أو سماه به رسول صلى الله عليه وسلم. The third group, Allah the names which is mentioned in His books or mentioned by His Prophet Muhammad. This is the third category. The third category, ما بينه في كتابه أو ذكره رسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Again, Concerning Allah names, there are three categories. The first category, only Allah knows. Only Allah knows. And there is a proof for all that, and we are going to mention the proof. And the second category, Allah is going to tell, Allah is telling or teaching any of his creatures, and this second category didn't mention in his book. And the third group is these names mentioned in his Quran, his book, and mentioned through Prophet Muhammad in his authentic Sunnah. And the proof for that typical is the authentic hadith Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when he mentioned that Allah in Day of Judgment is going to the proof for that is the authentic hadith Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is mentioning to ask Allah to let Quran be the cause for happiness to him, and to expand his chest with contentment and with love through Quran only. Where Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, أسألك بكل اسم هو لك. I'm asking you with each name belongs to you. سميته لنفسك. You call you by. أو استأثرت به في علم الغيب عندك. You are taking that for you and nobody knows. Just it is in your unseen matter, nobody knows. It is only Allah knows. أو علمته أحدا من خلقك. You have taught for any of your slaves. أو أنزلته في كتابك. Or you revealed it in your book. And then after that he said, أن تجعل القرآن ربيع قلبي. To make the Quran like the spring of my heart. Because the spring is the best of all seasons. So he's asking to make Quran like the spring season for his heart. And to let all kinds of sadness be away just by being in touch with Quran. This is the proof about the groups, the divisions of Allah's most beautiful names, about their numbers. And also Allah Jalla wa Ala in Surah Al-A'raf, 180, Allah Jalla wa Ala is saying, وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى. See, the word al-asma' al-husna, it means all kinds of names which is most beautiful. So he didn't say asma, so you can say certain names. No, he said al-asma'u. So this al is called al-istighraq, full depth, as if it is fully entered in the word asma, to include all names. But after that called al-husna. So not only any names, good or bad, no, only all names which are husna. So Allah Jalla wa Ala is saying, وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى. So all kinds of names which is Husna is his. And then he said, فَادْعُوهُ بِهَا. You call Allah by. You call Allah by. So as we are going to say, to call according to the situation you want. You are in need of provision, ask, oh my provider, please support me by good provision, or support me by your provision, being the provider. You are in great trouble, ask his mercy, because he is the most merciful. You are in need of support, ask him, being the only supporter, to support you. Like that. Like that. Now, concerning this issue, in order to finish that lesson, comes the problem of the hadith telling that وَلِلَّهِ تِسْعٌ وَتِسْعُونَ اسْمًا مَنْ أَحْصَاهَا دَخَلَ الْجَنَّةِ. There is one hadith which is authentic hadith saying that Allah has 99 names. Who is going to enumerate is going to enter the paradise. Actually, this hadith, as if you are saying, I have white lamps I'm going to share by. This does not mean that these are the whole lamps you have. You may have other black lamps. You may have gray lamps. But the white lamps are only 10. And you are going to share by. Understand? So Allah Jalla wa'ala specify from His names 99 names. Who is going to call Him by? He's going to enter the paradise. And then comes not only enumerating. No, it is not only enumerating. It is to understand, to have full knowledge about, and to behave by. To behave by. Understand? So the issue of 99 names is that, yes, Abu Hurairah said, typical like that, Jazakallah khairan, that they are 100 minus 1. 100 excepting 1. He said that إن لله 99 اسما 100 إلا واحد من أحصاها دخل الجنة. So this does not mean that these are the only for Allah. And the second issue is the word أحصاها. We have to understand the meaning of enumerate. So the word enumerate, it means that understanding. We are going to discuss it in details. But there is another hadith we want to mention in order to prove what we have said, is hadith al-shafa'ah. That hadith al-shafa'ah, where Rasulullah is saying that in Day of Judgment, Allah is going to let me be able to gain names I didn't know it before. So, also, hadith al-shafa'ah, these names are going to be known by Prophet Muhammad only on time of intercession. During the time of intercession of Muhammad, may Allah exalt his mention, Allah Jalla wa'ala is going to teach Muhammad, may Allah exalt his mention, certain names he didn't know it before. So this means that, if you remember, this was the second group. ما علمه أحد من خلقه. I'm sorry, sisters. So this will be continued next time, inshallah, to continue this authentic ahadith telling about the number of the names of Allah, most beautiful names and attributes. Stop here to continue next time, inshallah. جزاكم الله خيرا, بارك الله فيكم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.